We said, okay, we're going to go for AGI. 99% of the world thought we were crazy. 1% of the world it really resonated with.
Credible demos, we'll talk about some performance metrics, but the important point is this. We think you will love using GPT-5.
I think this is actually related to one of the biggest mistakes investors make.
The prairie winds of ST. Lewis whispered secrets, but 8-year-old Sam heard only algorithms. He was a child of unsettling precocity, his mind a crystalline lattice of logic, alien to the sandbox camaraderie. While other boys traded baseball cards, Sam consumed every volume on computational theory he could find, his eyes burning with an unshakable, silent ambition. This was the first struggle, the isolation of intellect, a loneliness that wrapped around him like the humid Missouri summer. He found solace only in the glow of a computer screen, a boundless world where he could be king. His parents, loving but bewildered, watched this intense, self-contained force grow. He was charting courses for a future that no one else could see, already practicing the relentless self-discipline that would later define his empire. The future lay not in the Midwest, but in the circuits he was learning to master. A sense of destiny, heavy and cold, had already settled upon his young shoulders.
We said, okay, we're going to go for...
If you want to see more of such documentaries, make sure to subscribe to our channel Quest Insights.
Stanford was supposed to be the launch pad, the gathering place of his intellectual equals. But the curriculum felt slow, archaic, a tedious exercise in what he already knew. The vibrant, sun-drenched campus felt less like a crucible and more like a waiting room. He met Nick Sivo, a fellow restless spirit, and together they plotted escape, whispering grand schemes in dorm rooms. They conceived Looped, a social mobile app designed to track and connect friends in the pre-smartphone era, a notion years ahead of its time. The pull of real-world creation, the immediate terrifying risk of building, was irresistible. After only 2 years, in a move that felt both reckless and utterly inevitable, Sam walked away from his degree. He traded the predictable path of academia for the brutal, unforgiving chaos of the startup world. The safety net was gone, replaced by the thrilling, vertiginous drop into the abyss of entrepreneurship. Looped was the proving ground, a decade-long Sisyphean struggle against shifting technology and market apathy. They were chasing the ghost of the future, trying to convince the world it needed location sharing before GPS was ubiquitous. The work was a merciless 18-hour-a-day ritual, fueled by black coffee and sheer terrifying will. Sam learned the grim calculus of scaling a venture, the endless pitches, the merciless board meetings, the constant existential dread of burning cash. He lived in a cramped apartment, sacrificing personal life for the faint glimmer of success. The isolation deepened. The weight of managing a complex organization was a relentless pressure, crushing the idealism of youth. He learned resilience in the face of inevitable, agonizing failure.
In that first week, 1 million people tried it out.
The bitter taste of exit. The market finally moved, but not in Looped's favor. Competitors, backed by better timing and deeper pockets, began to eclipse them. The end came not with a bang, but with a drawn-out, painful whimper, a fire sale to green for a fraction of their peak valuation. It was a financial survival, not a victory, and the sting of professional defeat was a profound personal wound. Sam had given a decade of his life to this vision, only to watch it dissolve into a line item on a corporate balance sheet. He described it as not a failure, but definitely not a success, a phrase that masked a deep-seated gnawing sense of emptiness. The lesson was harsh: effort does not guarantee triumph. Timing and luck are cruel, capricious gods. He emerged from the wreckage, scarred but armed with the cold, hard wisdom of a survivor. He vowed he would never again build something that felt merely ancillary. His next effort would be world-changing or nothing.
Approximates the degree to which
a billion-dollar idea is born. The whispers started in the YC halls. Sam wasn't just interested in apps or e-commerce. His gaze was fixed on something far larger, far more dangerous. He became obsessed with the existential risk of artificial general intelligence. The moment machines would surpass human intellect. This wasn't a business idea. It was a moral imperative, a problem too terrifying to ignore. He partnered with Elon Musk and others, driven by a utopian fear. If AGI was inevitable, it had to be built for the benefit of all. OpenAI was founded, a non-profit declaration of scientific independence, committed to shared knowledge and safety above profit. The goal: to shepherd humanity safely across the bridge to superintelligence. He raised an initial $1 billion, an almost mythical sum, committed to this colossal, epic-defining endeavor.
This is the best fucking time ever.
The non-profit structure, built on noble ideals, soon clashed with the brutal reality of computational costs. Training the nascent models, early clumsy ancestors of GPT, required astronomical amounts of processing power. The burn rate threatened to extinguish the dream before it could even ignite. A schism opened. The pure researchers argued for slow, safe, open development. Sam argued for speed and competitive parity with Google and DeepMind. He faced agonizing personal scrutiny, accused of betraying the foundational principles of open. The decision was made, cold and necessary. OpenAI would bifurcate, creating a capped profit entity to raise the capital required for scale. He navigated this perilous, ideological transformation, sacrificing purity for the pragmatic need to survive and compete.
Today, I'm going to talk about how to succeed with a startup.
The years between 2017 and 2021 were the wilderness, the era of grinding, iterative improvement on the transformer architecture. Sam's role shifted to that of an unrelenting cheerleader and financier, tirelessly pitching the dream to investors who couldn't quite grasp its magnitude. Many dismissed the early GPT models as clever toys. The existential threat felt distant and abstract. His personal struggle was immense, trying to maintain belief while pouring billions into a black box that had yet to yield anything truly revolutionary for the public. He faced moments of profound doubt. Was the AGI promise just a chimera? Had he led brilliant people down a technological cul-de-sac? The pressure was subterranean, immense, a silent test of his faith in radical technological leap.
Very close to not starting OpenAI.
In late 2023, the internal politics and ideological tension that had always simmered within OpenAI boiled over into catastrophic public spectacle. The board, citing a complete loss of confidence in his ability to maintain the safety mission, abruptly fired him. It was a shocking, brutal fall from grace, a public execution by the very organization he had co-founded and built. The world watched the ensuing chaos, the resignations, the investor panic, the dramatic corporate war played out across social media. Sam faced the ultimate humiliation, betrayal by his peers, exiled from his own creation. For 72 hours, he was adrift, a deposed king stripped of his empire, his entire identity called into question.
I'm excited about being smarter.
The chaos, however, proved his indispensable value. Without Sam, OpenAI shuddered on the brink of collapse. Employees and major investors, including Microsoft, rallied behind him in an overwhelming unified declaration of loyalty. The board, unable to withstand the internal and external revolt, capitulated in a stunning reversal. Sam Altman returned to the CEO chair after a dramatic 5-day exile, an unparalleled feat of corporate resurrection. He was vindicated, but the victory was cold, bought at the price of deep institutional scarring and lasting distrust. He emerged more powerful, but also more isolated, the weight of the company resting entirely on his singular, proven will.
Bangalore weather is actually behaving today.
Then came the quiet, almost unassuming public release that changed everything: ChatGPT. It wasn't a research paper or an expensive corporate product. It was a simple conversational interface. The world, previously skeptical, suddenly understood the power of large language models. In just 5 days, the tool garnered 1 million users. Within 2 months, it had reached 100 million, the fastest-growing application in history. The promise of AGI, once abstract, was now palpable, living inside every chatbot window. Sam had finally delivered the world-changing technology he had promised himself after the failure of Looped. This was his glory moment, the culmination of a life dedicated to building what others could only dream.
I'm excited about being smart.
The glory, however, was inextricably tangled with an immense, terrifying responsibility. Sam Altman, the former boy who sought refuge in code, now held the steering wheel of the world's most disruptive technology. He was no longer just an entrepreneur, he was a global figure, testifying before governments and fielding demands from presidents. The pressure of managing the immediate future of human-machine interaction was overwhelming. He became the face of a dual threat and promise: the hope for unprecedented progress and the risk of profound societal upheaval. The quiet intensity of his childhood had manifested as global, cacophonous influence. He had achieved glory, but inherited a crown heavy with existential dread.
How improbable it seemed at the time.
Today, the struggle is internal, philosophical: how to scale AGI ethically, quickly, and safely all at once. He battles the ghosts of his own ambition and the constant creeping fear that his creation might escape his control. The public sees the success of ChatGPT. Sam sees the roadmap to AGI, a journey fraught with unpredictable dangers. His life remains a relentless cycle of strategic meetings, funding rounds, and debates over the very nature of consciousness. The quiet, intense boy from Missouri is now wrestling with the most profound questions of human existence. He built the engine of the future, and now he must learn how to drive it without destroying the world. His personal journey is complete, but the grand, terrifying story of his life's work is just beginning. He stands at the precipice, the architect of a destiny greater than his own. The weight of the world, and the future, is now his to bear. This is not an ending, but the start of a final, perilous act.
Maybe some people program entirely in natural language.
As president of Y Combinator, he was thrust into the spotlight, yet he retained an awkward, almost clinical detachment. Public speaking was a task, not a pleasure. His focus was always on the mechanics of the venture, not the theatrical performance. He struggled with the expectation of being a charismatic leader, preferring the quiet power of the spreadsheet and the strategic memo. This reserved demeanor was often misinterpreted as coldness, adding to his reputation as a difficult, hyperlogical operator. The personal struggle to reconcile his intense, inward-focused nature with the demands of public leadership was constant. He was a visionary force to perform, using his immense intellect to mimic the required warmth of a CEO. The private man remained hidden, sacrificed to the demands of the colossal role he had embraced.
ChatGPT is a Google replacement.
OpenAI's success made Sam the default spokesperson for the moral implications of advanced AI. He found himself perpetually walking a tightrope, championing the transformative power of the technology while simultaneously warning of its dangers. His speeches were filled with sober warnings about job displacement, misinformation, and the need for global regulation. This wasn't just corporate PR, it was a deeply felt personal paradox. The man who dedicated his life to accelerating AGI was now tasked with slowing it down, or at least guiding its deployment. The weight of future consequences became his constant companion, fueling a restless, defensive energy.
Today, finally, we're launching GPT-5.
OpenAI's success made Sam the default spokesperson for the moral implications of advanced AI. He found himself perpetually walking a tightrope, championing the transformative power of the technology while simultaneously warning of its dangers. His speeches were filled with sober warnings about job displacement, misinformation, and the need for global regulation. This wasn't just corporate PR, it was a deeply felt personal paradox. The man who dedicated his life to accelerating AGI was now tasked with slowing it down, or at least guiding its deployment. The weight of future consequences became his constant companion, fueling a restless, defensive energy.
Close to not starting OpenAI.
Sam's interests broadened from AI to the fundamental technologies that power it: cheap, limitless energy. He became a major investor and vocal supporter of fusion power, seeing it as the only viable solution to the AI energy crisis. This became a parallel obsession, recognizing that the computational appetite of AGI models was unsustainable without a massive energy breakthrough. He applied the same intense focus to fusion startups as he did to his own company, leveraging his network to move mountains. For Sam, the twin problems of intelligence and power were two sides of the same destiny-defining coin. He was playing a centuries-long game, demanding technological miracles across multiple fields simultaneously.
Belief in the future and what this is going to mean.
Despite his vast network and public fame, Sam Altman's final glory is shadowed by a fundamental loneliness. He is the man who sees the furthest, often struggling to communicate the depth of his vision to those concerned with quarterly earnings or short-term politics. The very nature of his work, dealing with abstract concepts of superintelligence, separates him from conventional human concerns. His personal relationships, though stable, exist alongside the massive, all-consuming demands of his mission. He lives inside the problem, the weight of the future pushing out everything else. The quiet boy who found solitude in code now carries the most public yet isolating burden on Earth.
I'm in on it. We'll work together.
Standing at the zenith of his career, what does the architect of AI truly see? Not the headlines or the stock price, but the line of code that brought the future crashing into the present. He sees the culmination of the intense, lonely nights of his youth, the brutal lessons of Lupt, and the existential panic that birthed OpenAI. The journey was marked by intense struggle, both public and private, and a near-fatal corporate disaster. Yet, from this crucible of effort emerged a power that redefined the human-machine relationship. His legacy is secured, not just as a builder, but as a restless, controversial force who bent the curve of history. The drama is over, the consequence is eternal. He looks forward, already focused on the next, inevitable, and terrifying technological sunrise. The architect never rests.
It has become the default way that people use AI.
If you liked our video, make sure subscribe to our channel Quest Insights so you never miss any of our upcoming videos.